What's up guys, I'm here in Southern Africa and for the next 4 weeks I've got a new toy. This is the Canon 200-400mm. It's a premier sports and wildlife lens. It's an absolute beaut. And I have the chance, because I rented it through my buddy at Lens for Hire in Johannesburg, I have the chance for a month to be shooting this in Southern Africa. So right now I'm in Lesotho. Over the next couple of weeks I'll also be in South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, Zambia, and I'll be shooting a lot with this lens, and I thought over that time period I'd give you guys a full-on review in bits and pieces as I go along on how I feel about this lens and how my images are turning out. As I mentioned, I'm in Lesotho right now. I'm going to shoot some birds. I'm going to photograph some birds with this guy, and then I'll come back at you guys with some more tidbits about the lens and some review points about the lens, maybe further on in South Africa, Namibia, Zambia, Botswana, and so on. I'm now here in Kalahari Transfrontier Park in South Africa, and I'm getting my first real chance to shoot this on safari, this 200-400, and I have to say I'm really pleased so far. I thought that the sheer size of it was going to make it hard to handle in the car, but the truth is it's not as bad as I thought. I've got it up on my monopod here, like that, and I'm able to shoot pretty mobile with this going on. And it is heavy, it's definitely heavy, but in certain cases I can even handhold it if I really have to. I wouldn't want to be handholding it for too long, but I can definitely handhold it for a little while. One of the things I was really wondering was, compared to the 100-400mm, is all this size going to make it hard to get the shot? Am I going to miss anything because the size is too big? And so far, I haven't missed anything because it's too big. I'm now here in Sossusvlei, and I've got the big gun out shooting some landscapes. I didn't think I was going to use this for landscapes at all here, but the compression is just so beautiful at 400mm of these sand dunes that it had to be done. I'm absolutely loving the contrast and color I'm getting off this lens. One of the biggest selling points of this 200-400mm is this 1.4 times extender that's on it. The 1.4 times extender is actually built with the same glass as the lens, which is a fantastic thing because it means there's no image quality problems like when you add a teleconverter. I've done reviews of teleconverters in the past. I've used them before and I don't like them. I've never had good experiences with them. They always cause quality issues. So now I'm here in Etosha, and I just want to show you guys something quick. I've got a zebra, and the zebra's right there at the end of the lens, not too far away, and I want to show you the range of this lens. So let's bring it down to 200mm. We're at one time here, and if I take a photo, the zebra, the whole zebra fits in the frame. There he is right there. Now we can switch the 1.4 this quickly, and it's really like going to the doctor's office and they're like, hey, which looks better, A or B? What looks better, A or B? It's that easy. It's just a flip of a switch and that's what it looks like. So we flipped to 1.4. Now if we zoom all the way to 400, the zebra's head doesn't even fit all the way in the frame. It's incredible, and it's an incredible range to have on a lens that quickly. We can go from 200 all the way to 560 in like a snap of a finger or a flip of a switch. And for wildlife photography or sports photography, outdoor sports photography like football or soccer, having that range is absolutely incredible. The one thing you should know is that when you're at 200-400 without the converter, you're at f4. That's your fastest. When you add the converter, you drop to 5.6, so you lose a stop of light. Now, most wildlife photographers shoot 5, 6 to 8 anyway, so it's not really that big of a deal. And having that range is such a nice thing to have. On the lenses nowadays, everybody's always asking about the image stabilization. It's become a component that almost every single lens now has. This one is no different. This actually has 3 different types of image stabilization. It's got 3 levels, 1, 2, and 3. They're different because one's for handheld shake, one's for when the animal or whatever you're shooting is moving. And I have to say, the image stabilization is pretty good, but it's kind of interesting to even have on a lens this big, in my opinion, because every time I'm shooting, I'm on a tripod or monopod or some sort of stabilization. Where it will come into handy for sure is video shooters. I found that even just panning and stuff like that, doing my video shots with this has been incredibly buttery, and the image stabilization has been fantastic. I've got a couple of vultures now in a tree here in Kruger National Park in South Africa, and I thought I would turn the image stabilization off and crank this all the way to 560 millimeters and show you a shot. So let me set this down here. So I'm just gonna hand hold it, image stabilizer's off, and I'm at 560. And I'm not going to use my knees as a pillar or anything like that because that's kind of cheating. I'm just going to shoot the footage of this vulture and show you what it looks like. That's at 560, no image stabilization. I'll stop talking. As you can see, basically impossible to get footage handheld at 560 with no stabilization. Throw the stabilizer on, and it actually holds really tight. If you have a lot of movement, it still jumps, but there's definitely moments that it's fine. There's definitely moments that the image stabilization is usable handheld, which is absolutely phenomenal. A couple times out shooting, I've really had to quickly pull up and shoot something handheld, but it's a pretty rare thing for me to need to use it, but I am really happy I have it. So I'm here at Kruger National Park now, and I've got a couple rhinos, 4 or 5 actually in front of me, which is always exciting. And you're probably wondering about the sharpness of this lens, and I have to say, it's kind of mind-blowing how sharp this thing is. The vast majority of the shots I've taken on this trip have been tack sharp. I've definitely had more keepers with this lens than any other really long lens I've had. And to have the versatility of 200 millimeters all the way to 560 and still be tack sharp, even with the 1.4 extender on, is really fantastic. Before I leave Africa, and I'm leaving Africa today, I thought that it's probably important that I also talk a little bit about the negatives of this lens. There's not a lot of negatives when it comes to the technicalities of it. It's sharp, the contrast is really crisp, the autofocus is just lightning fast. The one technical thing I've noticed is when I shoot it wide open, especially with a 1.4 adapter on, I get a lot of vignetting at certain times of day. And actually it's a pretty beautiful look, the vignette look, but I'd rather not have to correct it on some images and put it in post-processing myself. So I'm having a little bit of an issue with that vignetting. One of the other negatives is just the cost. This thing costs the same as a car does. It's extremely, extremely expensive. And I've been spending a lot of my time shooting here in Africa thinking and comparing it to the 100-400, which I used and reviewed in the Galapagos Islands a while ago. And to be honest with you, I think from a travel photographer's perspective and from a hobbyist perspective, the 100-400 actually makes a lot more sense than this lens does. Yes, this lens goes from 200 to 560. Yes, its stabilization and autofocus and everything is amazing, but the 100-400 is a little bit more versatile in my opinion. You can shoot portraits on it. You can shoot handheld video on it. You can get really close to the animals with the 100-400 as well. You can, because it has that macro field. The minimum focusing distance of this lens is 2 meters, whereas you're way less than a meter on the other lens, and that's a great feature to have in a lens. I think that if Canon was to say, hey Brendan, we'll give you the 200-400 or we'll give you the 100-400, you can never sell it ever. You have to use it for the rest of your life. I'd probably take the 100-400, and it makes justifying buying the 200-400 a little bit challenging. I will say though, if I was a wildlife photographer or a sports photographer doing like football or baseball photography, I would buy this lens. It would be my every single day lens and it would never come off my camera. In a situation like that, this lens makes sense. Now I've got to go. I'm heading to India. It's been really amazing here in Southern Africa. It's been fantastic shooting with the 200-400, a lot of fun. This lens is just mind-boggling. And though it's really expensive, it's probably worth its price, especially if you're a professional shooting wildlife or sports. So guys, I'll catch you guys on the next episode. It's going to be vlog style towards India, and I'll see you guys there. Peace.